Israel is supporting ISIS. Not metaphorically, not symbolically, I mean actually funding, arming, and protecting ISIS-affiliated gangs in Gaza. Now, this isn't speculation. It's been confirmed by Israeli media, politicians, and even Netanyahu himself. According to the Israeli outlet Ynet, former defense minister and senior Knesset member Avigdor Lieberman revealed that Netanyahu personally ordered the IDF to arm and train criminal gangs in Gaza, gangs that he says identify with ISIS. The Israeli government is giving weapons to a group of criminals and felons identified with Islamic State at the direction of the Prime Minister Lieberman charged. Netanyahu didn't deny it. Instead, he offered a justification. Quote, "We are working to defeat Hamas in various ways." Netanyahu's defense is that by supporting ISIS, Israel can finally defeat Hamas and overthrow them in Gaza. It's a bit ironic, isn't it? Because at the start of the war, Netanyahu insisted that Hamas was ISIS.
Hamas is ISIS.
But now, Hamas isn't ISIS, and apparently it can be defeated by them. But this, of course, is a complete lie. First of all, this criminal gang in Gaza isn't affiliated with ISIS. They are affiliated with the Palestinian Authority, which is dominated by Hamas's political rival, Fatah, which currently rules over the West Bank as a puppet state for Israel. Even Israeli media admits that they aren't sure why Avigdor Lieberman accused the gang of being affiliated with ISIS, as he didn't really provide any evidence. The truth is, he probably wanted to make an already bad situation sound even worse for Netanyahu. Secondly, and more importantly, Israel arming this criminal gang in Gaza has nothing to do with defeating Hamas. This is actually a plot for something much bigger and much worse. You see, after 2 years of carpet bombing, shelling, and invading Gaza, Hamas has yet to be defeated. Despite Gaza being flattened above ground, Hamas continues to carry out ambushes, recruit new fighters, train them, and hold Israeli prisoners of war. Their tunnel networks are clearly still intact, and their decentralized structure is proving nearly impossible to dismantle. Virtually all of their leaders have been killed, yet they continue to fight on. Now, if you'd like a full breakdown on how this is even possible, go ahead and check out my explainer video on this topic, how Hamas survived. So, given their ability to survive all of this, what will arming a few hundred criminals do to Hamas that the IDF already hasn't done? You guessed it, nothing. This isn't going to defeat Hamas. But that isn't the point. This is about a completely different mission. This is about Israel's plan to carry out the final solution. From the very beginning, Israel's goal has been the ethnic cleansing of Gaza. This has been made abundantly clear by political and military officials at every level, including Netanyahu, who recently told cabinet members in a private meeting, which was leaked to the press, quote, "Forcefully displaced Palestinians will not return to their homes. They will not be there. We will control there. I know there are those with dreams of Jewish settlement in Gaza. I don't want to disappoint them." So this criminal gang fits right into this final solution for Gaza. So how were they created, and how are they doing Israel's dirty work? Well, let's start by introducing you to this scumbag right here. This is Yasser Abu Shabab. He's a known crackhead, previously jailed by Hamas for dealing narcotics and engaging in other criminal activity in the Gaza Strip. But after October 7th, Israel attacked the jail he was held in, secured his release, and turned him into a proxy warlord. They offered him the money, weapons, intelligence, and training to recruit other members in Gaza and carry out Israel's dirty work. Abu Shabab now commands over 300 gang members who are armed with IDF weapons and dressed in uniforms provided by Israeli intelligence. They operate out of this villa in Khan Yunis, protected by his own guards and by the IDF. According to reports, Abu Shabab's criminal gang is looting United Nations aid under IDF protection and selling it on the black market at an inflated price. They're also conducting reconnaissance missions for Israeli forces, and worst of all, they are running IDF-backed concentration camps in Rafah using stolen food to lure desperate civilians. They're also establishing a puppet police force to govern depopulated areas and turn them against Hamas. Basically, Abu Shabab and his gang are doing Israel's dirty work in Gaza. You know, at this point, there are a lot of parallels to the Holocaust as Israel commits this genocide. But this criminal gang, armed and funded by Israel, is actually quite similar to the Jewish ghetto police that was organized on behalf of the Nazis during World War II. The Jewish ghetto police was presented as a security force soldiers, protecting food, rationing it, and distributing it. But eventually they began rounding up their own brethren for extermination. On May 13th, 1942, the Holocaust survivor Chaim Kaplan wrote, "The Judenrat was ordered to supply 1,500 youths, so the Jewish police began to make the rounds of their doors during the night. Their coming was accompanied by cries and wails, but the police, in spite of their being Jewish, hardened their hearts and did their duty. Instead of 1,500, 2,000 were taken out of their home. 1,500 were turned over to the Nazis, and 500 were set free after paying a ransom to the Jewish police." Anatol Chari, a policeman in a Polish ghetto, in his memoirs described his work protecting food depots, controlling bakery employees, as well as patrols aimed at the confiscation of food from the ghetto residents. Basically, they got to determine who got food and who didn't, based on Nazi orders. He also recounted the involvement of Jewish policemen in swindling food rations and in forcing women to provide sexual services in exchange for bread. The Polish Jewish historian and Warsaw ghetto archivist Emanuel Ringelblum has described the cruelty of the ghetto Jewish police as at times greater than that of the Germans, the Ukrainians, and the Latvians. So much like how the Jewish ghetto police carried out Nazi orders, Abu Shabab and his gang serve as a collaborator force to do Israel's dirty work. Their primary goal is to help Israel manufacture the famine and concentrate the rest of Gaza's population into the south for a major ethnic cleansing push to dump the Palestinians into Egypt. So again, this really isn't an attempt to defeat Hamas. It isn't about saving the hostages. This is a final solution: to kill or cleanse the Palestinians and enslave the rest of the survivors in a high-tech apartheid camp. Let me explain. But first, we need to take a look at some population statistics that will help us make sense of Israel's dilemma and the tragedy that is unfolding before our eyes. Before October 7th, Gaza's population was 2.2 million. Since then, roughly 100,000 people have fled Gaza alive, and roughly 50,000 are confirmed to have been killed by the IDF. But there's a problem. Donald Trump, human rights organizations, and most recently even Israeli academics have claimed that the current population in Gaza is closer to 1.84 million people. Now, this math doesn't really add up. If only 100,000 have fled and 50,000 have died, we'd expect a population of 2.05 million, but we are seeing a gap of at least 160,000 people unaccounted for. What this means is that the death toll isn't actually 50,000, it's 210,000, much higher than what is being reported by the Gaza Health Ministry, which is limited in its ability to accurately count the deceased. And this shouldn't come as a surprise. A year ago, The Lancet, which is one of the world's most respected medical journals, published a report estimating the true death toll may be at least 186,000. So this 210,000 figure is consistent with the Lancet's estimation from 1 year ago. Now let that sink in. 210,000 Palestinians dead in a live-streamed genocide in 2025. And yet the campaign continues, because even after 2 years of manufacturing a living hell, Israel still has 1.8 million Palestinians to deal with. This is a very serious dilemma, as Israel has still not achieved its goal of ethnic cleansing. This is because the Palestinians of Gaza, as former refugees from other areas of Palestine, are deeply committed to never allowing Israel to commit another ethnic cleansing. In the temporary ceasefire from earlier this year, many Palestinians returned to their home in the north, even though it was complete rubble, in order to clean up, make repairs, and start over. This perseverance has driven the Israelis mad. So how can they force people who've survived the unimaginable to finally give up their land? Well, Israel has decided to escalate their bombing, to exhaust and starve the Palestinians to hell in an attempt to break them. Virtually every week for the last 2 years now, the IDF has issued evacuation order after evacuation order, forcing entire communities to march from one fake safe zone to another across rubble and ash. While they walk, they are bombed from the air, shot by snipers, murdered by drones. Hospitals all over Gaza have been attacked, even destroyed. Mosques have been blown up, water systems obliterated, schools, streets, and neighborhoods erased, border crossings blocked, and food trucks prevented from entering. For nearly 80 days from March to May, not a single food item was allowed to enter Gaza. Israel was deliberately manufacturing a famine to try and complete the ethnic cleansing. Now, Israel claimed that the blocking of aid was because Hamas was stealing it for themselves. But this, of course, was another lie. According to Cindy McCain, who serves as the head of the World Food Program and is responsible for much of the aid on the ground in Gaza, Hamas is not stealing the aid.
Have this man-made catastrophe with Israeli authorities blocking the entry of all aid from March until about May 18th. So are your deliveries consistently now getting through?
They have let a few trucks in. This is a drop in the bucket as to what's needed. Now we have 500,000 people inside of Gaza that are extremely food insecure.
Israel has consistently said that the looting is being carried out by Hamas. Have you seen evidence that it is Hamas stealing the food?
No, not at all. This doesn't have anything to do with Hamas.
Now, the world has mostly been atrocious in allowing Israel to engineer this genocide, but the tide has recently shifted. The growing famine in Gaza has triggered a media pivot unlike anything we've seen in over a year and a half of genocide. For the first time, even pro-Israel outlets are starting to call it out because starvation, it seems, is a line too far to spin. And as journalist Chris Hedges puts it, the elites are just trying to save face.
It's pretty hard to justify starvation, but they're just trying to cover their ass. They're not going to do anything. They recognize now that there's just no way out in terms of defending what Israel is doing, and so they're rhetorically distancing themselves, but still sending the weapons. I think it's just an act of very cynical self-preservation.
As a result of this pressure, Israel has been forced to allow the aid in. But because of their support for this criminal gang in Gaza, they are able to steal the food that they let through, which keeps the famine going so that they can blame it on Hamas. They also bomb, shoot, and kill the people coming to collect the food. The gang collaborating with Israel are the ultimate traitors, and the people of Gaza seem to understand this. Abu Shabab's own family members put out a statement publicly disowning him and his gang, and for good reason. Recently, while looting a food truck, the gang murdered a truck driver. Can you imagine being killed by your own brothers while trying to feed your people during their most vulnerable time? This is the situation the Israelis have manufactured in Gaza, and just as shamefully, the US has supported it. This gang murdering drivers and stealing food have been doing this for nearly a year now. Back in November, nearly 8 months ago, Haaretz reported that the Israeli army was allowing gangs in Gaza to loot aid trucks and extort protection fees from drivers. These same groups now pretend to offer the people of Gaza a new alternative for collecting aid. This is how Israel plans to concentrate Gaza's population into their newly built concentration camps in the south. Once they have the majority of the people in the south near Rafah, they will carry out a violent cleansing into Egypt. If you think this is a conspiracy theory, consider that this was reported by Israeli media as a plan months ago. Back in March, the Israeli journalist Yonon Magal tweeted, "The IDF intends to evacuate all residents of the Strip to a new humanitarian zone, confined and designated for long-term stay. Entry will be screened. Anyone remaining outside will be targeted. The plan is backed by the United States." And long before that, during his time as defense minister, Yoav Gallant warned of a total ethnic cleansing. Quote, "Israel will act with unprecedented force. Other options, including immigration, will open. The alternative is total destruction." Yasser Abu Shabab is helping Israel with this final solution by drawing people into these concentration camps. In a recent video, he invited civilians to enter his safe zone, which is supervised and controlled by Israel. There he offers food and medical aid. And he's doing so in coordination with the so-called GHF, the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, which is an Israeli-controlled front posing as a neutral aid organization. The group is designed to replace legitimate international NGOs, control the distribution of food, and force Palestinians into specific humanitarian zones under biometric surveillance and military oversight. Israel presents it as a solution to the famine crisis that they manufactured, but it's actually part of their ethnic cleansing final solution. So none of this is a genuine attempt to provide humanitarian relief. This is the final stage of ethnic cleansing, and it's why the World Food Program, the UN, and other organizations criticize this plan and refuse to participate in it, even though the people of Gaza desperately need food. According to them, the GHF's plan will not meet the needs of Palestinians. In fact, Jake Wood, an American military veteran who was the head of the GHF until he abruptly resigned from the organization on Sunday, May 25th, quote, "It is clear that it is not possible to implement this plan while also strictly adhering to the humanitarian principles of humanity, neutrality, impartiality, and independence, which I will not abandon, Wood said. So it's obvious that Israel has been weaponizing famine to control the population, and this criminal gang, led by Yasser Abu Shabab, is helping them do it. After the ethnic cleansing is complete, those that are not killed or cleansed from Gaza will live as slave laborers in the strip that has been chopped into 5 or 6 different zones of control, each under permanent Israeli surveillance by AI-powered high-tech walls, cameras, sensors, gun turrets, and drones. It will be the most advanced, high-tech concentration camp in history for whoever survives. To achieve this, the IDF has been bulldozing entire neighborhoods, not because they were damaged or pose a threat, but because they were still intact. Operators have openly admitted to demolishing up to 50 homes a day, with orders to erase anything Palestinians might return to. The goal is to leave Palestinians nothing to return to. After this final solution, and once the AI occupation is established, Jewish settlers will begin moving in and colonizing Gaza. So Israel supporting this criminal gang has nothing to do with defeating Hamas or getting the hostages back. It never was. This has always been about genocide, ethnic cleansing, and replacing the people of Gaza with Jews. It's happening right now in front of your eyes. This is Israel's final solution, and the US and EU are aware of this plan. Even worse, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Egypt, the UAE, Syria, Jordan, Iran, and Turkey, they all know this to be true, yet they all sit idly by and do nothing. The only people trying to prevent this famine, ethnic cleansing, and genocide is a group of activists on a fucking sailboat, led by a 22-year-old white girl who has more courage than every so-called leader in the region. I put a lot of effort into these videos. I research, write, shoot, and edit my own content. So if you like this video, please comment, like, and subscribe, and consider becoming a paid subscriber. The links to support me are in the description of this video. And of course, as always, I want to know what you think. So drop a comment and let me know.